Today we are going to talk about a day that all of heaven honors with reverence, the feast of the holy name of Mary, a name that makes hell tremble, makes the angels kneel, and fills the hearts of God's children with consolation. But here's the shocking truth most people never discover. This sacred day carries promises, protection, and miracles that could transform your life forever. Yet millions let it slip by, completely unaware of the spiritual weapons Mary herself wants to press into their desperate hands. Father Pio, one of the Church's most mystical saints, held an extraordinary devotion to Mary's holy name. In his letters, he would pray, "If the name of Mary were written in the hearts of all people, what a paradise this earth would become." Today, I'm going to share the 3 things Father Pio would demand you do on the Holy Name of Mary Day. But don't you dare skip ahead. The 3rd revelation has the power to blow heaven's gates wide open. Before we go any further, let me ask you something that might hit too close to home. Have you been under spiritual attack lately? That suffocating silence that chokes your peace. Anxiety that has no name but feels like death. Family wars that seem to multiply overnight. Father Pio would say, where Mary's name is forgotten, the devil sets up shop. That's exactly why the Holy Name of Mary Day becomes your last chance to reclaim what the enemy has stolen from your life. If you're ready for war against spiritual darkness, write in the comments, "Holy Name of Mary, be my salvation." Your declaration will ignite hope in hearts that are dying for breakthrough. Now, let me reveal what could change everything. Here's what you probably haven't realized. Your home might be crawling with invisible poison, old grudges festering like infected wounds, bitter words that never found forgiveness. Toxic memories playing on repeat, feeding something dark that's growing stronger every day. Father Pio used to say, "A soul that harbors resentment is like a house with every door flung wide open to the enemy." Think about it. When did you last feel completely at peace under your own roof? When did you last sleep through the night without that knot of dread in your gut? When did family conversations flow without hidden landmines ready to explode? Here's the brutal truth. Resentment doesn't just wound you emotionally, it tears spiritual holes where demons pour in like water through a broken dam. Mary's holy name can seal those cracks, but first, you've got to identify what's letting hell into your house. Father Pio understood this like few others. He knew forgiveness isn't some feel-good gesture we do for others. It's hand-to-hand combat. It's taking back territory the enemy has claimed in our hearts. On this Holy Name of Mary Day, I want you to do something that might feel like spiritual surgery. Grab a piece of paper and a pen. Sit quietly and ask Mary to reveal who you're still at war with. Don't overthink it. Just write down the names that make your stomach turn. Maybe it's that family member who crushed your trust years ago. Perhaps it's the friend who stabbed you in the back. Could be the boss who treated you like garbage, or even yourself for mistakes that keep haunting you. Write each name clearly, no explanations needed. Just the names that still make you clench your fists. Now comes the part that changes everything. Hold that paper and declare out loud, "By the holy name of Mary, I choose to forgive." Say it for every single name. Feel the weight of those words. Mean them, even if your emotions are screaming in protest. Forgiveness isn't about feelings. It's about making a decision that cuts spiritual chains you've been dragging around like a prisoner. After speaking forgiveness over each name, take that paper and burn it safely. Watch those flames devour what you refuse to carry anymore. As the smoke rises, picture your burdens rising with it, reaching heaven where Mary herself takes them from your bleeding hands. Father Pio believed fire has purifying power. When you burn that paper, you're not just disposing of trash. You're participating in a sacred ritual that kicks the devil out of your business. Sarah carried rage toward her sister for 15 brutal years. Every family gathering turned into World War III. Every phone call felt like walking through a minefield. She tried therapy, distance, even pretending the hurt didn't exist. Nothing worked. Then, on a Holy Name of Mary Day, she performed this exact ritual. She wrote her sister's name, spoke forgiveness through tears that felt like they'd burn her face off, and burned that paper while crying out Mary's name. The change wasn't instant, but it was real. Within weeks, normal conversations became possible. Within months, they were closer than they'd been in decades. That's the nuclear power locked inside Mary's holy name, but it only detonates when we stop playing games with grace. Some of you are thinking, but they don't deserve forgiveness. They never said sorry. They never changed. You're probably right about all of that. Here's what Father Pio grasped that most people miss. Forgiveness isn't about what they deserve. It's about what you deserve. You deserve peace. You deserve freedom. You deserve a heart that isn't poisoned by bitterness. When you clutch resentment, you're not hurting the person who wronged you. You're drinking poison and expecting them to drop dead. Mary's name shatters that cycle. Her name has the power to heal what seems permanently broken, to soften what has turned to stone, to breathe life where death has taken root. Don't wait for them to make the first move. Don't wait for apologies that may never come. Don't wait for circumstances to magically change. Take action today, on this sacred day, and watch heaven respond to a heart that chooses freedom. The enemy wants you believing some hurts cut too deep, some betrayals sting too severely, some wounds are too infected to heal. That's a lie designed to keep you locked in spiritual prison. Mary's holy name is the key to your cell. But you've got to be willing to turn it. As the ashes of that burned paper settle, you'll feel something shift in your spirit. The air in your home will feel cleaner. Your sleep will deepen. Family conversations will flow like water instead of blood. This is just the beginning, because a soul freed from resentment becomes a soul ready for deeper spiritual cleansing. Father Pio used to describe confession as the soul's deep clean. Just like our bodies collect dirt and grime we can't always see, our souls accumulate spiritual filth that clouds our connection with heaven. Think about how incredible a hot shower feels after a long, brutal day. The water washes away not just visible dirt, but also that invisible weight of stress and exhaustion. That's exactly what happens in confession, but for your spirit. The Holy Name of Mary Day creates a unique spiritual atmosphere where grace flows like a river, where heaven bends closer to earth, where even the most hardened hearts become tender enough for real repentance. Father Pio knew this secret. He spent countless hours in the confessional, witnessing miraculous transformations that would blow your mind. He would say, even the deepest wounds, when exposed with humility, get healed by grace. But here's what most people don't get about confession. It's not just rattling off a list of sins. It's cracking your heart wide open, allowing divine light to illuminate corners you've kept hidden even from yourself. On this sacred day, Mary wants to prepare you for the most liberating confession of your life. But it starts with brutal self-examination, and she's ready to help. Sit quietly and pray. Mother, show me what I need to surrender to your Son. Don't rush this prayer. Wait in the silence. Listen with your heart. Mary has a gentle way of revealing truth. She doesn't condemn or shame. Instead, she illuminates with love, helping you see patterns you've missed, habits you've justified, and wounds you've refused to acknowledge. Maybe she'll show you the pride that makes you reject help from others. Perhaps she'll reveal the envy that poisons your joy when others succeed. She might illuminate the fear that keeps you from truly trusting God's plan. Or maybe she'll go deeper. Maybe she'll show you the unforgiveness you still harbor toward yourself for past failures. The shame that makes you feel unworthy of God's love. The despair that whispers lies about your future. Whatever Mary reveals, receive it with gratitude. Remember, diagnosis comes before healing. A doctor can't treat a condition that stays hidden. Father Pio understood that the enemy's deadliest weapon isn't tempting us to commit obvious sins. It's convincing us we're beyond redemption, that our failures are too great, that God couldn't possibly love someone like us. This is spiritual poison that Mary's name neutralizes instantly. If you can't get to confession today, don't let that stop you from starting this process. Begin your examination of conscience right now. Write down what Mary shows you. Be specific. Be honest. Be brave. Michael hadn't been to confession in over 20 years. He'd convinced himself that his sins were too serious, his failures too numerous, his heart too hardened for God to take him back. On a holy name of Mary Day, he finally found the courage to approach the confessional. The priest later said it was one of the most profound confessions he'd ever heard. Not because the sins were particularly shocking, but because the repentance was so complete, so genuine, so drenched in hope. Michael walked out feeling like he could fly. Colors seemed brighter, sounds clearer, his heart lighter than it had been in decades. He said it felt like being reborn, like stepping out of a tomb into blazing sunlight. That's the power available to you today. But it requires radical honesty, not just with God, but with yourself. Mary's holy name creates a safe space for this honesty. When you invoke her name before examining your conscience, you're inviting the Mother of Mercy to guide the process. She knows exactly how to help you see truth without drowning in shame. Some of you might be terrified of what you'll find if you look too closely at your spiritual life. You might worry the darkness runs too deep, the patterns are too entrenched, change is impossible at your age or in your circumstances. Let Mary's name dissolve those fears. Remember, she said yes to God when it seemed impossible. She stood by the cross when hope appeared dead. She believed in resurrection when everything looked like the end. Her name carries that same power of impossible transformation. Prepare your heart for confession by inviting Mary to be your guide. Ask her to show you not just what needs healing, but also to give you the guts to expose those wounds to divine light. A soul cleansed by sincere confession becomes a soul ready to receive the most powerful spiritual weapon Mary wants to place in your hands. Speaking of powerful spiritual weapons, many of you have been asking how to deepen your prayer life and experience the same intimate relationship with Mary that Father Pio enjoyed. The rosary was Father Pio's greatest weapon against spiritual darkness, and today it can become yours too. That's why I want to share something special, our ebook, The Power of the Rosary with Father Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosary with deeper devotion, discover the miracles and testimonies of those who've experienced its power, and access Father Pio's most impactful teachings about prayer. You'll receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, plus special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Father Pio's great weapon, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this chance to strengthen your spiritual life with material that's already helped thousands. To download it, just click the link pinned in the comments. Now, let me share the third revelation that can blow heaven's gates wide open. Few people know about this rosary. It's not lengthy like the traditional 15 decades, but its power is off the charts. Father Pio had a habit of repeating, sometimes for hours, just the names of Jesus and Mary. He believed this simple invocation kicked demons out and brought profound peace to troubled souls. This isn't just pious tradition, this is spiritual warfare at its most lethal level. When you speak Mary's name with genuine faith, something happens in the invisible realm. Walls of opposition crumble, hellish interference falls silent, heaven's gates swing wide open. Take your rosary in your hands. If you don't have one, use your fingers or simply focus on the prayers themselves. This isn't about perfect technique. This is about tuning your heart to heaven's frequency. For each small bead, Pray slowly and deliberately. Mary, sweet and powerful name, be my salvation. Don't rush these words. Let them settle in your spirit. Feel their weight. Mean every syllable. For each large bead, pray with even deeper intention. By the holy name of Mary, liberate my home and heal my soul. Again, speak with purpose. This isn't mindless repetition. This is building spiritual momentum, creating an atmosphere where miracles become natural. Father Pio understood something profound about repetitive prayer. Each time you speak Mary's name with faith, you're not just saying words. You're sending shockwaves through the spiritual realm. You're declaring allegiance. You're claiming protection. You're invoking the power that makes demons flee in terror. Think about how a mother responds when you call her name. If you're in danger, if you're hurt, if you need help, you don't just think about your mother. You call out to her. You speak her name with urgency and expectation. That's exactly what happens when you pray Mary's name. You're not talking to a statue or an idea. You're calling out to the most powerful woman who ever lived, the Mother of God himself, the one who has never refused help to anyone who sincerely sought her intercession. But here's what makes this rosary particularly powerful on the Holy Name of Mary Day. Heaven is already tuned to hear her name with special attention. The spiritual atmosphere is charged with expectation. Your prayers don't just reach heaven, they arrive with amplified power. As you pray each bead, imagine Mary's presence becoming more real in your home. See her walking through each room, blessing every corner, sealing every entrance against anything that doesn't belong to God. Father Pio would often tell people, speak the name of Mary in every danger, in every anxiety, and you will see her hand moving on your behalf. This isn't superstition. This is spiritual reality. Mary's name carries the authority of the Mother of the King. When she speaks, creation listens. When she intervenes, circumstances change. When she protects, nothing can harm you. During one particularly intense spiritual battle, Father Pio spent an entire night repeating nothing but the names of Jesus and Mary. By morning, the oppression had lifted completely. The peace that filled his cell was so profound that other friars could feel it just walking past his door. That same peace is available to you through this simple but powerful rosary. Some of you might think, but I've prayed before and nothing changed. I've called on Mary's name and still faced difficulties. How is this different? Here's the difference: intention, consistency, and faith. This isn't about praying once and expecting instant results. This is about creating a sustained spiritual atmosphere where Mary's presence becomes constant, where her protection becomes your daily reality. When you commit to praying this rosary regularly, especially on sacred days like today, you're not just asking for help. You're building a relationship. You're creating spiritual habits that attract heaven's attention and force the enemy's retreat. Mary doesn't just answer individual prayers. She transforms entire lives. She doesn't just solve immediate problems. She creates long-term spiritual breakthrough. But she needs your cooperation. She needs your consistent invitation. She needs your active faith. As you pray each bead of this holy name rosary, pay attention to what happens in your spirit. You might feel sudden peace washing over anxious thoughts. You might notice family tensions beginning to ease without explanation. You might find that problems that seemed impossible to solve start working themselves out naturally. These aren't coincidences. These are signs that Mary's name is actively working in your circumstances. I want you to understand something crucial. Mary's name isn't magic. It's not a formula you recite to manipulate spiritual forces. It's a relationship you build with the Mother who loves you more than you can imagine. When you pray her name with genuine devotion, you're acknowledging her role in salvation history. You're honoring her obedience to God. You're trusting her maternal heart to guide you toward her Son, Father Pio knew that Mary never draws attention to herself. Everything she does points toward Jesus. When you honor her name, you're ultimately honoring Christ. When you seek her protection, you're ultimately accepting Jesus' provision. When you trust her intercession, you're ultimately depending on his grace. This holy name rosary becomes a bridge between your need and God's provision, with Mary serving as the gentle, powerful advocate who ensures your prayers reach the throne of grace. Pray this rosary without hurry. Create space for silence between the prayers. Allow Mary's presence to become real and tangible in your experience. Don't be surprised if you feel moved to tears during this prayer. Don't be shocked if old burdens suddenly feel lighter. Don't be amazed if solutions to long-standing problems begin appearing in unexpected ways. This is how heaven responds when earth calls Mary's name with authentic faith. A heart that regularly invokes Mary's holy name becomes a heart that lives under constant divine protection. The holy name of Mary isn't just a liturgical remembrance on the church calendar. It's a spiritual key that unlocks heaven's storehouse of grace. When you speak this name with genuine faith, barriers dissolve, infernal opposition retreats, and divine favor flows freely into your life. Today, you've received 3 game-changing revelations from Father Pio's spiritual wisdom. First, the liberation that comes from releasing resentment through sacred ritual. Second, the cleansing power of sincere confession, guided by Mary's gentle hand. Third, the protective strength of the holy name rosary that creates an atmosphere of constant divine presence. But knowledge without action remains powerless. Information without implementation changes nothing. You can know every prayer, understand every teaching, memorize every quote from Father Pio, but until you put these revelations into practice, they remain beautiful theories rather than life-transforming realities. Father Pio used to say, "Speak the name of Mary in every danger, in every anxiety, and you will see her hand moving on your behalf." This isn't just poetic language. This is practical spirituality. This is how saints lived, how miracles happened, how ordinary people experienced extraordinary grace. Today, make a decision that will echo in eternity. Choose to honor Mary's holy name, not just with your words, but with your entire life. Burn away what has become cursed through unforgiveness. Confess what has become corrupted through sin. Pray with the name that brings salvation. Some of you have been carrying burdens for years, convinced that change is impossible, that peace is unreachable, that your situation is too complicated for even God to untangle. Today, Mary's holy name declares otherwise. Others have been fighting the same spiritual battles repeatedly, feeling defeated every time you fall, wondering if victory is possible for someone like you. Today, Mary's holy name proclaims that overcoming is not only possible but promised. Still others have been feeling distant from God, as if your prayers bounce off the ceiling, as if heaven has become deaf to your cries. Today, Mary's holy name opens a direct pathway to the throne of grace. The enemy wants you believing some hearts are too hardened, some situations too hopeless, some sins too serious for redemption. That's a lie designed to keep you in spiritual prison while the key to freedom hangs within reach. Mary's name is that key. Her intercession is that bridge. Her love is that assurance. But you must choose to use what heaven has provided. You must choose to believe what God has promised. You must choose to act on what the Spirit reveals. If these teachings have touched your heart, if Father Pio's wisdom has awakened hope in your spirit, if Mary's name has stirred something deep within your soul, write in the comments, "Today, by the holy name of Mary, I choose to be set free." Your testimony matters more than you realize. Someone reading your words needs exactly the encouragement you provide. Someone struggling with the same battles needs to see that breakthrough is possible. Someone losing hope needs your declaration of faith to reignite their own. Share this message with everyone you love. Send it to family members who need spiritual breakthrough. Forward it to friends facing impossible circumstances. Post it where others can discover that Mary's name still carries the same power it held in Father Pio's time. We're building more than just a community here. We're creating a spiritual family where faith grows stronger through shared testimony, where hope multiplies through mutual encouragement, where love deepens through common devotion to Mary and her Son. Your support helps this message reach more hearts that desperately need healing. Your engagement helps more souls discover the power available through Mary's holy name. Your participation helps more families experience the peace that Father Pio promised to those who trust in Mary's intercession. Smash that like button if this brought light to your darkness. Hit subscribe if you want to keep growing in spiritual wisdom. Become a member if you're ready to be part of a community that takes faith seriously and supports each other's journey toward holiness. The holy name of Mary covers you now with protection that cannot be penetrated. It guides you toward peace that cannot be disturbed. It secures for you a future that cannot be destroyed. Today, heaven is listening. Today, Mary is watching. Today, Father Pio's intercession joins with hers to bring you everything your heart truly needs. May the holy name of Mary be your shield, your comfort, and your pathway to eternal joy. Amen.